You're making a house? Wow. You're an artist.
What it was like growing up with my dad. My mom always told me as a baby he loved me so much. He loved showing me off to his friends. He loved showing me off to random strangers in the store. He was so proud that I was his. And my mom said he did a really good job, wanted to take care of me, change my diaper, get my bottle. Yeah, he really loved me as a baby.
That wasn't very nice.
As I started getting older, I realized that our relationship started changing really fast. He seemed like he was angry at me all the time. He would lose his patience with me. And I was a little scared being around him because every little thing that I would do would make him really upset. And he would go to my mom and start complaining about me. And my mom would kind of have to tell me, okay, like go play in another room because your dad's getting upset at you. So when our relationship started changing, I realized that I had stopped calling my dad, Dad, and I would call him by his first name. And I think as a child, that didn't really affect me, and I don't think it really affected him. We just kind of both established, okay, this is our relationship, this is what it's gonna be, and that's how it was. As I graduated high school, I was preparing to serve a mission for my church, and that would require me to leave home for about a year and a half.
Dear Sister Bell, you are hereby called to serve as a missionary of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. You are assigned to labor in the South Dakota Rapid City Mission.
I was really excited to go on my mission. I served in North Dakota on the Standing Rock Reservation.
Oh my God, this is so cool. Oh, see that head action? Uh-oh.
And man, that was such a fun time for me. I met so many new people, and at the same time, I was teaching people about God. As I'm serving my mission, I'm thinking a lot about my dad. My father and I didn't really have a relationship at that point. I don't think I had really talked to him or seen him in about a year or two. So I decided I was going to write him a letter. And I just wanted to see how he was doing, but I also had a big question. I was really curious on where my father stood when it came to God. As his daughter, I couldn't believe that I didn't know where my dad stood when it came to religion. I never sent the letter, and I don't even think he knows about it to this day. But I'll never forget thinking about him a lot while I was away for a year and a half. When I came back home from my mission, Hunter and I decided to get married.
I promise to be the best that I can be. Hope that I'm worthy to be your husband.
I was so excited because that was the next big step in my life. But during that time, it was hard because a traditional wedding, your father plays a big role on that day. And I knew that that wasn't going to be the case for me. As a daughter, you hope to see that one day your dad gets to see you wearing that white dress. And you hope to see your dad walk you down the aisle. And I knew that it wasn't going to be like that. And I was okay with it. I knew at that point that our relationship was bad. But the idea of thinking it could have been that way just really made me sad. After Hunter and I got married, I was extremely happy with where my life was. And in a way, I felt like I was really growing up. We moved out of our parents' houses and we were essentially on our own. And I felt like at that point in my life, I really wanted to start over with my dad. I really felt like I wanted to give him a second chance. I started taking my dad out and we started hanging out a lot. I really felt like I was starting to get to know him for the first time in my life. And I'll never forget the feelings I had, because I'm at an older age now where relationships are important to me. And I really felt like I was starting to get to know who my dad was. For the first time in my life, I really felt connected to my dad. And I really started to feel like I was understanding who he was. I remember when it came to Christmas or his birthdays, I really wanted him to feel special, so I would go all out. Because to me, that seeing him happy brought so much joy to me. I will never forget those moments because they were so fun. We had a lot of good times. I was happy and content with where our relationship was going. Sadly, in the end, my dad wasn't who I thought he was. As I was contemplating back and forth if I wanted to call this man my dad again, he was secretly moving his things out of the apartment. Little by little, things in his room started disappearing. And one day he went to work and he just never came home. I didn't hear anything from him. I didn't get any texts or calls. My mom didn't hear anything, and we were scared. We didn't know what had happened. Later on, I had found out that he had met somebody new who had a younger daughter. And he wanted to start a family with them. And I remember my heart being completely shattered. Because he just left without saying goodbye. And I felt so shattered. Because I really felt like our relationship was finally building, and then he just leaves. I felt like this man ripped out my heart and just threw it in my face. Later on, I found out that he got an apartment with his new family and eventually got married. And I remember thinking, now you want to be a dad? Now you want to step up to the plate and be there for some little girl? What about me? Don't you want me? That brought me to such a dark place in my life. I wanted to be alone. I didn't want to see anybody. And that affected my relationship with God. That affected my relationship with my husband, with my family and friends. I wanted to be alone. I fell into a dark place, and it was scary for me. It was lonely, and I just kept telling myself that I'm not good enough to be anybody's daughter. All I wanted was to rebuild a relationship with my dad. And then he just leaves. And it makes me think that there's something wrong with me. Why am I not good enough for you? I think what hurt me the most is he's willing to be a dad to some other little girl, but he couldn't be a dad to me. I remember feeling so angry at myself and telling myself, why did I think this would actually work? How stupid was I to believe that? I was stupid. During the time I was hurting, I really just wanted to be alone. I shut everybody out of my life. It was a scary time for me. Music is a big part of my life, and I think a lot of people can relate. When you're feeling sad, angry, happy, you tend to listen to music that fits that emotion. So I remember going onto Google and literally typing in songs about dads who leave their daughters. And there were some things that came up, but it was a little before my time, and I felt like there was no connection. So then I went to YouTube. I typed in songs about dads leaving their daughters, and bam, a video that was titled "How Could You Leave Us" came up, and it was by the artist NF. I remember the first time I watched it, I had tears running down my eyes. The song is about NF as a child and how his mother struggled with drug abuse and how all he wanted was a mom there for him, and she couldn't give that to him. And eventually, those drugs took her life. And in the song, NF expressed how hurt he was, how sad, how angry. How could she leave us? How could she leave me and my family behind? His mom chose a selfish lifestyle, and even though our stories are different, there's a connection there. My dad chose a selfish lifestyle, and all I wanted as a child was a relationship with my dad. NF is the kind of artist who will write a song about a time in his life that really affected him. And it's very powerful because 1, it really happened. 2, he's expressing himself through music. And 3, every lyric, every word to that song has a meaning. It's not just about sex and drugs and girls. It's about something that had happened in his life, and all he needed to do was just get it off his chest. And that is what I respect in an artist who sings about real things, something that has meaning, and to me that connected to me right away. So I started listening to more of his music, and I noticed that he hadn't released any new music for about a year or 2. So I was like, man, okay, I have to just, listen to what is given. And I was really digging it, and it really was helping me get through that time. And this is where I believe God played a part in this part of my life, because as I'm starting to get into NF's music, he drops a new album. And I was so excited because I'm like, wow, he didn't drop anything for years, and now there's a new album. So I clicked the new album and I listened to every song. And there's about 4 or 5 songs on there that really got me through those dark moments in my life. It really pinpointed how I was feeling about my dad, about a relationship, about myself. So NF is one of my idols, and he really inspired Dear Dad.
Wow, what's new? Stay over there. What? How was your day, Ons? Oh, you got it! Was that on her list?
Yeah,
Wow! What kind is it? Show me.
the color one.
Wow. Hi, Candice.
Yay.
Candice, what are you doing? How old are you?
4.
You're 4 years old? No, you're not. Look at me.
5, 6, 7, 8,
Look at me.
9,
How old?
10. It's her!
Did you wanted that?
Yes.
Oh.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Mom.
I've been calling out for you for too long. I can't keep believing that you're more than the man that you show. I've watched you walk out that door a million times just to let you